with my two co-hosts, Paul Hollis, author of the Hollow Man series, owner of Hollow Man Publishing, and Frank Fiore, host of Fridays with Frank. Frank, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest.
Yeah, I mean, historical fiction. That's my bailiwick.
Oh, I knew this was coming. And I
Yeah,
think you guys are going to hit it out. So James Arnott joins us. James is the author of the Monmouth Manifesto. How are you, James?
I'm just great, thank you.
How did this all start? And then I know that my two author friends who are writers are going to have some really interesting questions for you.
Well, how it started was I late in life, after I'd finished my main career, I started writing historical fiction. I'd written one book, and I was looking around for a second book, and I'd heard the barest outline of a story involving a guy named Richard Lippincott, who had been a farmer in New Jersey, in Monmouth County. And I thought, and I'd heard him referred to as Hangman Lippincott. And I thought, I wonder what that's all about. So I looked it up, and it turned out there was kind of an interesting story there. And that's how it got started.
All right. Let's go ahead with Frank's question.
yeah. I've written a three-volume historical fiction. If you're familiar with Herman Wouk's Winds of War, well, it's the similar concept, except it's the Japanese side. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's about the Japanese Pacific War from 1936, really politically, all the way through 1945. And the hook is that that's about a young American teenage boy that's adopted by the Japanese family, and he has to come of age. Again, this alienation, the concept which I like. He has to come of age against the backdrop of of Japan during World War II, and he ends up climbing into the cockpit of a Mitsubishi Zero to join his fellow kamikaze pilots to go after the American fleet off the coast. So that's the hook, and you got to read the whole book to find out, well, how the heck did an American teenage boy get into this? And anyway, I'm interested in I'm a big history buff, obviously. I'm interested in this Washington and the dust up he did with the French and in this affair. I'd like to know more about that.
Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but let me make a point. It's interesting what you said about your book because, in a sense, the hook in my book is that this is the American Revolution from the standpoint of the Loyalists. So in my book, the Patriots are the bad guys and the Loyalists are the good guys. And so now that may not be a hook for an American audience. I don't know, but that's the unusual feature of this story. So you see the American Revolution from the standpoint of the Loyalists who were opposed to the revolution, and my lead characters fight against the Patriots, and then end up, of course, they're on the losing side of history, and they end up becoming refugees to Canada. But the Washington story comes fairly near the end of my book. Basically, what happens is that a patriot gets hanged. A patriot prisoner gets hanged. A loyalist named Richard Lippincott, who's a member of a loyalist unit, he was in charge of the unit that hanged this guy. The guy's name is Jack Huddy. There's a place in New Jersey, Huddy Park and everything, where he was hanged. And so the people in New Jersey are furious about this because this guy's been hanged in a public spot and left to hang for all patriots to see what happens when you mess around with the loyalists, sort of thing. So the patriots say to General Washington, now look, there's got to be retribution here. So you either get them to hand this guy Lippincott over, and if they don't hand over Lippincott, you've got lots of British prisoners of war. Hand over one of them so that we can deal with him. And the long story of it is that Washington goes to the British general, Sir Guy Carleton, and says, hand over Lippincott or else. And Carleton says, well, no, I'm not going to do that. So then what Washington does is he seizes a British prisoner, and he's prepared to turn him over to the Patriots and for execution. Well, the thing is, the complication is this, that this British prisoner was taken prisoner at Yorktown. And at Yorktown, as we all know, or maybe lots of us know, the French were critical to the success at Yorktown. So this British prisoner's mother is a very prominent woman in London, England. And in fact, she's of French Huguenot heritage, and she knows people in high places in Paris. So she gets in touch with people in high places in Paris, and they end up sending a message to Washington, basically from the King of France, saying, well, it would be very embarrassing for us if you handed over a British prisoner, because under the Articles of Surrender, you can't do that. And our general was a party to those Articles of Surrender. And so Washington, who's been kind of swinging in the wind on this difficult issue, finally caves in, and they hand the British prisoner back.
Wow. Well, very, very intriguing. Paul, your question for James.
Yeah, hi James. The Revolutionary War is just a fascinating time period we have, and I don't really know that all. Many of us know a whole lot about that time period, but I was actually interested in the relationship of how the Anglican Lippincott got together with the Quaker fellow. I mean, is it just from circumstance of being together, or does that relationship work out?
Well, first of all, historical fiction, as you know, it's based upon facts, but then it's fiction, and you can fiddle with the facts a little bit, as long as you don't do it too much. So I started off, I had this, I got the information on this fellow Lippincott. And to be honest, I wasn't sure there was enough there for a full novel or not. And then I found out that there was this, I stumbled upon the fact that there was another New Jersey farmer loyalist who also fought with the British, named James Moody. And then on top of that, and his exploits had been written up somewhat. But then I stumbled upon the fact that Lippincott and Moody had overlapped in the New Jersey Volunteers. And the New Jersey Volunteers were a loyalist regiment in the British Army. And so then I thought, well, I've got these two characters, and I can put their stories together. Now, the fact that they're buddies, as I portray them in my book, that's fiction. I don't know for a fact that they knew each other, but I know that they were in the same unit at the same time. And so that's what I did there.
James, it's very intriguing stuff for sure. I looked at your background to finish up this interview. First of all, that you're the CEO of Coors Company and sat on the board of an NHL team. Which NHL team?
The Montreal Canadiens.
Wow. Oh, cool. I mean, so you just keep going. What's new? What projects are coming for you next? What I've always said is what's happening is the boomers are continuing to kill it. They will keep working till they die. And it's the smartest thing in the world because you keep doing amazing things. But what are your next plans after this? I don't have a specific plan. I've always got my eye out, for
for another book. I mean, I'm at the stage of my life where what I'm doing now is writing books, and I hope I've got another one in me. But I haven't found the story yet, that the hook that I want.
All right. Yeah, that's hard, to find the hook, no doubt, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And the guys don't know, again, your son's a famous actor. So that's got to be cool too. You made
Yeah.
all the success and then he had success.
Yeah, I have two sons actually, and one of them is a famous actor. His name is Will Arnett. And by the way,
Will Arnett. Yeah, right.
so but here's the thing: we're Canadian, and so Will is when Will was growing up, like me, he pronounced his name Arnett. When he moved to the States, it became Arnett. We tend to say Arnett, and then Americans tend to say, as a matter of fact, I lived in Washington, D.C. for 3 years, and I found myself saying Arnett, just like Will does, because for some reason it seems to work better when you're dealing with Americans. I don't know why.
Well, I was right and pronounced it the correct way.
You did.
Yeah, because I didn't, and it was said it rings a bell and da da da. But I appreciate you coming on. Best place people can go purchase a book and learn more about you. Where can they go?
Well, look, I have a website, but if you go James Arnett, if you Google James Arnett author, you'll get me. I have my own website.
All right. We appreciate it, James. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
That was a special simulcast of Neil Haley.